So shotgun bashing is one of those mechanics that people know basically only one thing about, and that's that, oh, it's good for generating stagger temp health when you spam right click with it. Like, most people know that that's just like the surface level information, and yeah, shotgun bashing is really good for that purpose. But there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of depth to it, and bashing is one of the strongest mechanics in the game, but only once you understand a ton of obscure information. Like, a lot of obscure mechanics are going on here. So it makes sense why people are not really using this, or why there's just misinformation that I've seen. Also, recently, the level 5 and 15 talents being changed kind of. The level 5 talents being changed kind of affect how the shotgun bash interacts in the game. So, first off, I'll explain exactly what happens when you use a shotgun bash. There's a sphere in front of you when you attack. And so these green hitboxes, this is a melee attack. The game considers this a melee attack. It cleaves, damages, and staggers infinite enemies. There is no cleave limit here. The red sphere, I do not know what it does. Maybe it's just the aura you generate when attacking, who knows. So let me demonstrate what this looks like when you attack enemies. Turn this off. So all these guys, this is Cataclysm 3, so they have extra mass. Infinite cleave. Okay. So how do they interact with the level 5 and level 15 talents? How does the shotgun bash work with it? Well, it is a melee attack. So if you kill an enemy with the shotgun bash, you'll get temp health. If you stagger an enemy, you'll get temp health. If you cleave an enemy, you'll get temp health. So if you look at how it works with stagger, I'll spam a bunch of guys here. Spam a bunch of guys. Regular shield bash. Okay. Bunch of temp health. Bash. 5 or 6 temp health. Not very good. Why is that? Well, in the changes to the level 5 talents, Fat Shark sort of capped it-ish at, it seems to be capped at 5 or 6 temp health for shotgun bashes. So you actually want to use cleave temp health when you're shotgun bashing instead of stagger. On official realm, in tourney balance, it's going to be still stagger. Cleave with shotgun bashes and shield bashes actually has no limit. These attacks bypass the limit of cleave. So I have cleave here, and I'm getting like 15, 20 health per attack. Way more than stagger temp. So the surface level information that most people know about this is actually wrong. So you want to use cleave with shotgun bashing. That's the most efficient way to do it. So that fact is out of the way. Other information about the bashes is that they benefit from bonuses to power, so more than Mirror, Enhanced Power, Reckon Reaper. They benefit from all of those. They benefit from crits, they benefit from strength potions, benefits from attack speed. You could basically just think of this as a second melee weapon. And because of that, the bash is not going to proc things like Conservative Shooter, Hunter, Scrounger. Won't work with any of that. So I look at the level 15 talents, and this is where it starts to get interesting. I think all the options here are pretty interesting. So melee weapons, when you set an enemy to stagger 1, 20% more damage. Stagger 2, 40% more damage. Okay, basic game knowledge. For mainstay, this means that your shotgun bash damage can be increased by 60% just by spamming right click on a horde. So normal bash damage, 8, 10, and 11, right? He's getting staggered, it's just not showing the animation because I turned off the AI. Remember, 8, 10, 11.75, or whatever the numbers were. Now it's, okay, I clicked. Now it's 13.25. So the bash works with mainstay. Mainstay, I think, is really good if all of the enemies in front of you are just trash, but if you're not staggering anything it's completely useless, basically. Like, as soon as there's elites, it's not that worthwhile. Additionally, shotgun bashing doesn't really have that much stagger power, so if the enemies recover from their stagger animation before you're finished with the animation, mainstay is still worthless. Now, Smiter is also interesting. Smiter considers every single enemy in this melee hitbox to be considered the first target for Smiter. All of these enemies are considered stagger 1 for Smiter, so without Smiter, 8.25, and then with Smiter, 10, and then I'll spawn a bunch of guys here. 10 damage, 10 damage. Some of those, the yellow numbers are headshots. I don't know how to consistently get headshots with this. It would be something that would be cool. I think Smiter is pretty cool. It's really useful. And if you just stagger an enemy to stagger 2, then you'll just do 40% more damage anyway. Also, Smiter is going to be the best option if you want to do DPS with like your melee weapon. Like if you have Halberd with Blunderbuss. Halberd's really good at armor or monster damage, but the Shotgun Bash does fuck all to that, so it synergizes really well. For Enhanced Power is also good if you want to do a little bit more blasting, since it'll also increase the left-click shotgun damage and your right-click bash damage. For Assassin and Bulwark, the only careers that have Bulwark and a shotgun are going to be Foot Knight and Ironbreaker. And then Assassin is just going to be Witch Hunter Captain and Bounty Hunter. Zealot can also use the shotgun, but you would probably use Smiter on him. Or you would just kill everything as Zealot, as you usually do. Let's see. I have a lot of notes written down for this, so I'm trying to scroll through them as I talk about this. So, okay. We'll get to more advanced mechanics. But let me finish up with Assassin, actually. With Assassin, it will do 40% more damage with the Shotgun Bash on a crit, and a further 40% more damage with the Shotgun Bash on a headshot. And at Bulwark sucks, so don't use it. Use something else. Okay. So, on to obscure bullshit. In Vermintide 2, all careers will gain ult charge when you damage an enemy or when you take damage. Each career has a different set of values for this. So here's the table. You can see Mercenary, when he damages an enemy, he gets 0.5 seconds of ult charge back, and when he takes damage, per damage taken, he gets 0.5 seconds. So, with a 90-second cooldown, Merc needs to take 180 damage to get his entire ult back. Now, this is a core part of the reason why Shotgun Bashing become so incredibly powerful. Since you damage every single enemy inside the hitbox, every enemy you hit will generate ult charge. With careers like Witch Hunter, Merc, Foot Knight, this is a very efficient way at getting your ult back very, very quickly. So, let me just ult here. Spawn a bunch of guys. And look at my ult. Now, most Kata hordes are going to have like maybe 20 or 30 enemies, and you won't be hitting this many enemies all at once with every single bash, but it is still a very efficient way, and as you get into like higher modded difficulties, bashing only gets better because density increases. Now, the last thing I'll touch upon before I go into like more career-specific synergies is QQ canceling and reload canceling. This is just a way to make your shotgun bashes faster than simply spamming right-click. So this is right-click. This is QQ canceling, if I can do it properly. It is slightly faster. Now, reload canceling, you need to have an empty clip or ammo missing. So you just do R and right-click. And this is significantly faster than just spamming right-click. Like, it's almost double. And when you start to just tack on all these power bonuses and Smiter and Requiem Reaper and Pace Strikes and then Swift Slaying, you can and then you reload cancel. You can really, really do a lot of damage, actually. The DPS is actually very, very good. So you can just ignore a lot of the game. And you don't need to do melee mechanics. You can just shotgun bash your way through the game. Which is why I'm so sure that this is such a strong thing to be able to do. With the other shotguns, like Griffinfoot operates the same way. This is right click, this is QQ cancel, and then this is reload canceling. Interestingly enough, if you have the other one out, then it'll do this with the other arm, but it's the exact same animation. With Grudgebreaker, it's not super effective. QQ canceling is actually just the fastest way. It's faster than reload canceling. So I'll talk about career-specific synergies now. With Merc, the blunderbuss, as you've probably been noticing as I've been using it, it can proc pace strikes, which is cool. You don't even have to damage enemies in order to proc pace strikes. Fun fact. I'm trying to find Chaos Warriors. I'm not doing any damage, but I'm still proccing pace strikes. This is really, really useful because how many weapons do you know that can cleave 3 Chaos Warriors? Pretty sure it's only the Greatsword or Halberd with specific builds. So Blunderbuss is really good if you're trying to like fight a patrol and you want to keep up your pace strikes and you have a weapon that can't do it otherwise, like I don't know, one-handed sword or something. Next up is Foot Knight. Foot Knight's really good because you can just ult and use Numb to Pain and then spam. And since Foot Knight's ult is so impactful, the Blunderbuss Bash is really, really good at getting ult back. Let me try to spawn a horde and demonstrate this with AI on. I'll just spawn these guys here. You get the idea. I think Foot Knight with Blunderbuss is actually pretty insane. Just the amount of ults that you can shit out, and just it's absolutely insane how much control you can have over the game. Other careers, I know for Ironbreaker, you can use Rolling Mountain, and if you have full stamina, and you kill an enemy with the bash, you'll reduce the cooldown of your ult by 2%, which is kind of cool, but the trade-off is obviously you don't have Trollhammer, so do with that as you will. Witch Hunter Captain with the Griffinfoot bashes. If you have Fervency, every single bash is a crit, and you can damage as many enemies as you want with that. So that's kind of cool. It'll also work with Riposte. Riposte will work with range attacks. Fun fact, even though it says melee attacks in the talent, it will work with range attacks. And then the last career I want to touch on is Sister of the Thorn. She doesn't have a shotgun, obviously, but if she walls off a narrow corridor and you have a bash, since the bash is a sphere, the bash will hit all the enemies on the other side of the wall. Because the wall doesn't actually block your attacks. I don't feel like replicating that, so I'm simply just going to link a clip in the description by Haname. Very epic gamer. I think that's everything that I want to yap about for this. One more thing, actually, is that if enemies hit you... Let me see if I can get this guy to, like, shove me or something. I don't feel like pulling that off right now. But if you take damage or enemies shove you, it will cancel the animation of the bash, which will actually let you bash faster. So if you're in a position where you're trying to just hit trade in a horde, you can actually just spam right click and it will be very effective. So I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to for this. If you got this far listening to me yap about this, thanks. If you got any questions, then feel free to ask away.